Just a moment. Yeah. I extend my very warm welcome to Manashri Shejwalkar. She is a climate activist and sustainability professional. Manashri has 6 years of experience in engineering and consulting with a mechanical engineering degree and a recent Master of Science degree in Sustainable Energy Development from University of Calgary, Canada. She is committed to exploring holistic solutions to complex environmental problems. Manashri is a detail-oriented collaborative researcher with inquisitive attitude. A strong believer in grassroots level movements, she joined Plastic Free YYC as a zero waste manager from February 2019 to December 2019, organizing meetups in the community, connecting fellow Calgarians interested in sustainable way of living. Manashri's key area of interest are food, culture, climate, and social justice. Recently, she also wrote an article in Feminism in India website on colonialism at play in female workplace fashion, where she commented about the fast fashion, which is not very environmental friendly nowadays. Okay, so this was a brief bio of Ms. Manashri. She will be talking on sustainable development and with a little emphasis on waste management. So now over to you, Manashri. Let us start.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to thank Dr. Rachna and the Department of Biotechnology for giving me this opportunity to share some of the thoughts on this topic that I've been very interested and researching a lot in the past 2 years. So I hope my perspectives will help you get a little more interested in this area in your own particular field, because as we'll see in this presentation, that sustainability or sustainable development can be applied to any and every area of industry, and it is the need of the hour. So what is sustainable development? So Brundtland Commission, so I've chosen a very simplistic definition of this topic, which means that development that meets the demand of present without taking away the ability of future generations to do so. That means whatever we are doing, whatever kind of development that we are doing, that needs to be happening, that needs to be available for future generations without them compromising on anything. So ideally, it should look like what we are doing continuously should be in a sustainable manner, or in a very planned manner, so that it can help other generations future, not just us, but others as well. To understand it in detail, let's watch this video. I hope it will work. Let's see, maybe.
Hi guys! Do you have time for a few quick questions? I see you're having a lot of fun, but do you ever stop and think if what you do is sustainable? And do you know what sustainable development means? Sustainable development is to make the world a better place for everyone now without destroying the possibilities for the next generations. If you wonder if something is sustainable, you can ask yourself, can we do this over and over again forever? Sustainable development means that we need to keep 3 things in mind at once: social progress, economic development, and climate and environment. First of all, we have to take care of our planet. We have many natural ecosystems that must be in balance in order for us to live here. The climate system is one of them. This system ensures that the temperature is correct and that the atmosphere emits exactly the right amount of solar energy. When we emit harmful greenhouse gases, such as CO2, we clog the atmosphere. This changes the temperatures on Earth, which again affects our development. However,
Manashri,
we can use energy
Yeah.
the video
incredibly.
is not visible, only
Oil
the
and coal
sound
are
is audible.
examples of energy we
Oh,
may run
okay,
out
okay.
of. Water, wind, and sun, however.
Oh. Mm, I don't know how to. Okay, let me see. Oh, maybe that is because my screen is not here. Okay, can you see now?
However, will always be
Yes.
here. Using
Okay.
the lasting
Should
sources
I
of
start over
energy
again?
that renew themselves is good for the
No,
planet
it's okay.
and can provide jobs for years to come. Economics. Almost everything we develop, buy, and trade starts with nature. The smarter we use our natural resources and the better systems we create for a fair distribution, the more sustainable we are. One way to contribute to a more even distribution is to be more aware of what we buy and how it is produced. A football is a good example. It travels far before it reaches the football players. First, materials are made. Then, they print the logo somewhere else before a third country sews it all together. One single football sees the whole world before it reaches its goal. This journey ties us together. If we are to win the battle for a sustainable future, we have to play with fair rules that applies to everyone. Social progress. We humans are part of nature, but we're also important resources for the world. Just like water, the forest, and the sun, we have minds that can create the strangest and most creative things. But for us to be the best versions of ourselves, there are certain things that must be in order, like having equal opportunities to education, safety, food, and medicine. This provides greater opportunities for us as human beings, but also for the planet. We just have to think in new ways. These three must work together. That is sustainable development. And there's actually a plan for this. All the countries of the United Nations have agreed on a joint plan for sustainable development. But for the plan to work, we need to cooperate, and we need you to be on board. Are you with us?
Okay. Can you all see my screen for the PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So that video, basically, sorry for the, I was trying to switch the screen, so it didn't appear for the first half. But what basically it says that for sustainable development to happen all around the globe, everybody needs to collaborate. And that in an increasingly global world, that we need to help each other out. We meaning everybody, every country is helping each other out to solve this climate crisis and to develop the world in such a way that everybody gets sort of an equal opportunity. Okay. Now, as I talked about, sustainable development is all about striking that balance. And this is a very famous way to explain with the help of three overlapping circles, or what we call it as a Venn diagram. So it explains that the environmental portion, the social portion, and the economic portion. That means economic development, environmental development, and social development should all go hand in hand, and that it's imperative to strike this balance in order to achieve sustainable development. What it means that when we do take a project and we are spending enormous amount of money that will probably generate a lot of jobs in the beginning, but if it is harming the environment around it, then that doesn't mean that it will be beneficial for over the years. So we need to plan ahead of our times, and we need to take care of this method of development that we've been using since the Industrial Revolution. And because we didn't use the sustainable development model before, we are in this position where our Earth is in this climate crisis. So the UN has suggested these sustainable development goals. Now, if we carefully see that these development goals are also touching the social justice part, the economic justice part, and the environmental justice part in different ways. And I have a slide that explains that, segregates these goals according to the 3 circles. But basically, we need to address these major issues. And if you go to Sustainable Development Goals website, you can actually see different parameters on each of these goals and how different countries or different people are trying to achieve these goals in their own way. And this was done to address the Paris Agreement goals. That means that we are going to make sure that the development happening in each country, like whoever is the signatories of these sustainable development goals, the Paris Agreement, they are going to try and keep their emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions, less than the industrial era. So the 2 degrees Celsius, so the climate is warming, as we know, by every like a degree every few years. So we are trying to keep that under 2 degrees Celsius till 2030, which it seems kind of a daunting task, and hence we need the collaboration. Now this circle, what it shows is it divides the 3 circles into, it divides all the goals into these 3 circles. So say ending poverty, ending hunger, ending, ensuring healthy lives, all of those belongs to getting economic justice or economic development to everyone, like basic services, which is not accessible to many of the people around the globe. And as we see in India every day, that we have huge disparity between the rich and the poor. So even if we say that we are developing, the basic services are still not available to many of the people in our country as well. The water goal, the 14th, life on water, life on land, climate action, those are environmental sustainability goals. And then inclusive growth, which means all of those equal opportunities, and then collaboration, interconnectedness, all of that is to promote sustainable growth and inclusive growth. That means providing equal employment opportunities, building those resilient infrastructures for everyone so that nobody has to fight climate crisis by themselves. So this kind of explains how the goals are also connected with the sustainable development infrastructure. Now, why do we need sustainable development? Now, as I said in the beginning, since the Industrial Revolution, when in the technological revolution, we discovered that, okay, we can do many things with our intelligence and using the natural environment, commodities that are available. And so we started using it in a very mindless way. But that disturbed the natural balance that Earth had for years and generations before we started using it as a commodity. So now we have to look back and see what mistakes we did. Why did not we adopt the sustainable development model? And at that time, there was World War. There were many reasons for people to choose economic development over other kinds of development. But now that we are in this crisis, we have to go back and see, oh my God, if we had done this sustainably, maybe we would be in a making a relationship between the human and nature, a harmonious one, which people used to live before as well. So the indigenous cultures around the world, And that means people who have been living in the tribal areas and people who are living in harmony with the forest and using, using the forest resources, but still be able to live in that condition for so long. They are the pioneers of sustainable development. And there are many examples of this, because when they think about, if you consider African cultures, they are dependent on the wildlife over there. They're dependent on the environment over there, which is very harsh, but they share it with the forest animals, as well as live their own culture in a sustainable way. They may not have the swanky development picture as we do, but they still used to live that way in a very harmonious kind of way, which allowed them to sustain for generations without getting even discovered by, regular public. So there are so many tribes in Amazon or even in India that we have not discovered, and they are living there in their natural habitat, just like that, without a need of coming out to get any resources from us. So we need to make this sharp shift in investment just for our future generations. Otherwise, we are, using up so much of natural minerals and all of the precious earth that we have left, that probably future generations may not have that opportunity that we have right now. So that is why we need this radical, some people might call it a radical concept, but this is what we need of the hour, is to focus everything on how to develop or how to approach a project with a sustainable development mindset. So now coming on to this topic of waste management, I have prepared it with focus on Indian context. So the waste management issue in India is in general, a huge issue, because the population of our country. So when we look at waste management in India, the biggest thing that affects waste management is rapid urbanization and the economic growth. Now, we would think that, okay, finally we got to this urbanization period and we are seeing so much economic growth, but our systems, our waste management systems, or our public facilities have not been able to grasp that the rate of development, the rate of population increase, everything. So when I researched, I found that according to a 2015 statistic, each person in India was producing about 450 grams of garbage per person per day. Now, if we multiply that with 1.3 billion people, that is about almost 58.9 crores kilo of waste every day, out of which, only 82% was collected. And this collection system, as we know, a lot of the times, most of the times, it is an open dump system. That means that it gets collected from the door and it gets dumped into the sites. And out of which only 28% of this garbage is treated. Treated means either it may go to, burning to use fuel, or to salvage the plastic and the paper to recycle. So now our rate of consumption has gone up so fast because of the economic growth. Now everybody can afford things. We can buy stuff we can buy more stuff as opposed to, say, 50, 60 years from now. So everybody has that capacity to buy things, and why not? When you have that capacity, you don't think about, oh my God, if it is affecting the environment, or if it is affecting someone else, or it's taking away, how is it made, how is the labor done. We try to take the biggest value for our money. So if you're buying for something for 100 rupees, we are thinking that, oh my God, this is the best thing because it's cheap. But a lot of people who are trying to make that product for 100 rupees may get only 2 rupees to make that product, or may 10 rupees. So we don't think in that concept when we can afford stuff, because definitely we worked hard, so we deserve that. So that kind of mindset has increased a lot, and that has gone to increase the rate of consumption of products. And these products are not necessarily necessities or things that we absolutely need. These are a lot of the things that are materialistic. Sometimes we buy 10 clothes instead if we were buying two pairs of clothing. And that, so the technological application of this thing, so as I said, the public services could not catch up with this population increase, or big cities, people are thriving to big cities. So then the big cities are not prepared for so many people coming in at once. Then we also have this situation where a lot of poor people are dependent on open dump sites, where they are picking things and collecting waste, segregating waste in those dump sites, and they're dependent on these open dump sites. So when we talk about, okay, we can close these dump sites, but that doesn't work, because that will not be sustainable for them. So we need to find a solution that works for everybody. On top of it, there are health issues associated because of the waste pollution. So open dump site means, okay, we are containing this waste, but then it also gets the rain, it also gets the wind. So then the plastic flies away everywhere, and when the rain happens, so all of this garbage produces a leachate. Leachate means it's a garbage juice of everything that is in the garbage dump. And when it rains, it seeps into the ground, and then it goes into the ground, it interacts with the groundwater system, and eventually ends up in our rivers, in our oceans. So there's a huge health hazard associated as well. So this is my, I made this up because there's typically just 3 things that are shared, that is reduce, reuse, and recycle. And that is problematic because recycling does not happen everywhere. Exhibit A is a lot of times in India, we don't get to recycle much of our plastic waste. Even in Canada, where I am, only 17% of our waste gets recycled. Imagine like that. I think Canada produces probably more garbage than India in comparison to a per capita. Like per person, we produce more garbage than a person in India, but still it doesn't get recycled even if we have the facilities over here. So this is the model that I thought of, which is more kind of comprehensive and adds more steps. So first is reducing. So if we reduce the consumption of X number of products, or even the products in our home, then we don't have to dispose of it. We don't have to think about discarding it, or whether it's recycled or compostable or nothing. So reducing our consumption is the best way you can help to manage your waste. Second is reusing stuff that you already have. Say a glass cup, or a stainless steel container. So we always reuse our dabbas and do like put our achar in something else, and then you use the glass one for something else, wash it and reuse. So we need to emphasize more of that in innovative ways in other products as well. The third one is repairing. Ultimately, we buy a lot of, like, first thing that comes to mind is clothing. That we buy clothing, all of these fast fashion t-shirts, jeans, and everything, they are not made of that quality that you can repair it. So when you think about buying certain clothes, think about if you can repair this stuff in the future. If it gets bad, then repairing is the best, because it stops you from buying new product, and then automatically reduces your carbon footprint and your waste. The last one would be to decide between recycling or rotting. Rotting means composting. So organic materials, definitely. Paper, if it's wrapped, your samosas are wrapped or something is like, oily or something, then that paper goes into compost, does not go into recycling bin. So that needs to be educated more. And the last one is recovery. Now a lot of developing nations, including India, is investing in this recovery stage, because what it means is you're burning waste to produce energy, or you're actually utilizing that waste to recover. So for example, we'll see in the future slides that Bhopal is using it to make roads. So recovery of that waste into a completely different product. So, and this definitely takes up a lot of energy. So we think that, oh my God, this is a great solution to our waste problem, but it definitely uses a lot of energy as well. So we need to think how to, first of all, reduce our waste, and to reduce our energy consumption, to recycle, repair, or to do anything with that waste, because we don't want to continue this cycle. Okay, if the recovery is happening, then just keep on consuming, because we have the other avenues to get discard this waste. So we need to think, rethink our strategy, that we need to, ultimate aim should be to reduce the waste consumption and not to find better options for our waste, so that we keep on consuming the way we are. So the idea is to reduce in the first place. So that is why I started with reduce. Okay. So now we think about who is responsible for the sustainable waste management or sustainable development. So I know this is deterring. I'm just saying it right now. Individual actions like switching to eco-friendly way of living is not alone enough to achieve sustainable development and solve climate crisis. I say this because we live in a world which is so vast, so interconnected, that individual action is not alone enough, because our industrial systems and our government, they are all like interconnected, and the systems are designed in a way from generations, like since industrial revolution. We hear this word, this is how it has happened, हम लोग ऐसे ही करते आ रहे हैं इतने सालों से. So it's difficult to change the system if you are working in a silo, that if you're just working by yourself thinking I'll do this at my home and world will get better, but that doesn't happen. So majority of our responsibility lies on our government and our industry to make this system easy enough so that everybody can participate in this solving this climate crisis. So today I'm trying to tackle these 4 large impact areas for waste management, because I think these are sort of very relatable to everybody in our everyday life, and they're also very high impact area, because food waste, water pollution, clothing waste, and plastic waste are everywhere. So this is kind of, that's why I decided on these 4. So we'll individually focus on each one of them. Starting with food waste. So this was my master's project as well for food waste. And it was very sad to see the statistics on food waste, because food is something that everybody loves. Everybody, craves to achieve fresh, nutritious food. There are so many millions of people dying everywhere with hunger. So food is something that is valuable to every person, rich or poor. So I was very shocked to see the different kind of statistics that were coming out. Now, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, they say that if food waste was a country, so if we collect all the food waste from the world and make it a country of size, it will be the 3rd largest greenhouse gas emission emitter after US and China. So that is the amount of food waste that is happening all over the world. And we have, on the other side, we have millions of people dying of hunger, or those who don't get access to food. And they say that 1/3 of global food, globally produced food is never eaten. It is thrown away. So India faces a lack of proper supply chain problems. So what I studied was in the developing nations, because of the weather and lack of supply chain issues, storage issues, the food waste that happens is at the at the producer level, like right after the farming, like from going from the farmer to the consumer, that's where the food waste happens. Whereas in developed nations, the food waste happens after it reaches the consumer. That means the consumer don't care about food, and they waste a lot of food. Now, in India, it's 61 million tons of food is wasted annually. That is a lot of food. That is, they had shown statistics where, along with that, it says that it would feed the population of Bihar for a year. This amount of food, for like nobody has to pay anything, would feed everyone in Bihar. So, and India ranks the 7th in terms of wasting food. Another interesting statistic was 73% of food wasted in Mumbai is organic. So if you see a dumpster truck or a garbage truck from somewhere, 73% of their contents would be organic. That means it could be composted. Now, what do we do to handle this food waste issue? So we need to look at why this food is, getting wasted. First of all, as I said, lack of supply chain issues, that there's no smooth supply chain. Like very rarely we see a supply chain issue. Like every year we see onions being, the prices going up and down. So there has to be a proper supply and demand issue, balance in that, as well as now increasingly more companies are taking over farms. So not individual farmers, but you see many companies own the farms directly. So they are overproducing because they want to stack the shelves in all the supermarkets, and they want to flood the market with a lot more food and produce, so that it looks, very nice in the supermarket. You see the shelves are full, so you want to shop at that place where it is very full. The other thing is people are buying more. People are buying to stock their fridge, that they want everything from the market to be available in their fridge, so that you can eat whatever you want whenever you want. So we don't need the planning. But what happens, we eat similar food groups, and then the rest of the food goes to waste. So what individual actions can we do to avoid this? First of all, buying what you need. I know a lot of us back home, even my mom and dad and parents, everybody buys generally 1 or 2 days worth of produce, and then they will just plan their meals accordingly. So we need to go back to that. We need to go buy local, and buy from different farmers markets like mandis, which actually you interact with that person, and you see the things that are coming into the stock, rather than going into a very air conditioned supermarket and buying exotic food that is traveled for thousands of miles, which is definitely not eco-friendly. Second is planning your meals before buying. So you can make like a full meal plan for the week, and then you can see what is the most things that you need, and then buy those things as only. The third thing is the granny's wisdom to preserve food. That means you can make achar, or if something is going bad, make a juice out of it, or the fruits, you can make juice out of it. Or before throwing, maybe think about how can you reuse this. And if if you know for sure that this is not going to get eaten, if you have a party at home, or if you know that there's, or you ordered a little bit more and you don't see that being finished right away, don't keep it in the fridge and think, okay, I'll eat it tomorrow. It never gets eaten, because I've experienced that myself. We keep in hope that we'll eat it, and then it doesn't get eaten, and then it's not safe for other people to eat as well. So donate when you can see, especially in large events, marriages. I know that is a distant dream right now in COVID times, but all of these events, there is a Robin Hood Army in India. They have different branches everywhere. They have many organizations like that who will come to your venue and take away the food. So that helps with not being wasted, and these preciously prepared food. Now, I've also focused on what actions government and industry can take. Now, these are recommendations, definitely policy recommendations. There's a lot more to do, and I'm sure many of you have thought this before and probably have better ideas than what I'm suggesting over here. But what I felt like was to provide aid to farmers in form of training, finances, to build resilience and adapt to the changing climate. Now, we are seeing so many floods happening, then extreme drought situations, extreme flood situations. So this is keep on, like, it affects a lot to the farmers who cannot plan, because this is not like planning a few months ahead of time. It is 6 months, a year, up to a year ahead of time, what they want to plant, how that will go to the market, if it is financially viable for them. So to build resilience, they need a type of training, they need financial aids, they need to learn about why our climate is changing. And I know they sometimes the farmers are more intelligent and more sensitive to these things than we city folk can do. So this needs to be the priority, to train them on climate crisis and how to tackle that at a farming level. The second is robust supply chain to avoid food loss. That means storage facilities, dry storage where we can store the onions, potatoes, all of the essential crops that produce that everybody eats. That needs to have a definite, a proper efficient supply chain, so that we don't have the highs and lows in the pricing. The third is food storage equipment, help with that. Maybe transport equipment, that is refrigerated transport and other things. So that needs to be a collaboration between the industry and the government. So it doesn't fall, the entire burden doesn't fall on one person, but it has to be a collaboration, because that way you're serving the consumer in a proper way, and like everybody is benefiting from that. And so industry doesn't lose their money in terms of wasting the food, and then the consumer gets it at a proper price. And last one is to conduct food waste audits, that what is wasted, why is it wasted, and what, like if you do a more minute waste audits at supermarkets, especially this is for industries like restaurants, supermarkets, those kind of places where you can track what kind of food is getting wasted, and then to find out why it is getting wasted. So that can be another action that can industry can take. The next is water waste. So when I was looking for water waste issues, the major issue was sewage water being dumped into the water streams. Now 80% of our urban waste ends up in the rivers of India. And why that happens is, for us to understand that, we need to understand that every water system in the world is connected. So if anything happens in Canada, the water systems somehow will, once in its life, will reach India in some or the other form, because our groundwater is connected, everything underneath, like there's reservoirs of water underneath the earth. Our oceans are connected, our rivers connect to our oceans, and our lakes connect to our rivers, and so on. So every water system in the world is connected. So when the urban waste ends up in our rivers, we are consuming the same water when it comes back in our other form, and some of the water does not get filtered out. So untreated sewage is the largest cause of water pollution, because what we do, intake water is only disinfected. So it is not treated properly. The other main reason is there's plethora of reasons why it is unsafe, and it's like a very cyclical answer. I'll use, you'll think that I'm beating around the bush, but it's usually what happens is, if water contains some kind of chemicals, a lot of the chemicals in the water are untreatable. That means we don't have systems designed. Even in Canada, a lot of times we see you cannot treat that trace amount of materials. And what happens at the treatment center, they have levels up to which they can be, they think that it's okay, this much level of chemical is fine. So some of the chemicals are not even known to, and they are not even detected at that treatment level, treatment centers. So a lot of the times it causes, sometimes there's a wave of people falling sick because of drinking water, because there's something in the water that has not been treated. And that happens a lot in poor communities where they don't have access to water filters and things like that. So untreated sewage is the largest cause of our water pollution. Now 60 crore people in our country face acute water shortage. That means they will, and we've seen this hundreds of times, people bathe in the same water, they take wash their clothes in the same water, they drink the same water. So all of that is a hard reality of our nation and many of the developing nations. 2 lakh people die each year due to polluted water. This number seems very huge, and sometimes it feels like it's just a number because there's no names associated. Rarely we know people who die due to polluted water. So it's a distant reality for a lot of people, but it definitely is one of the gravest facts that I read because of that. And now 6% of our GDP will be likely impacted to solve the water crisis. Now we are seeing that our water storage capacities, we're building dams on rivers left, right, and we are facing these flood situations, we are facing these drought situations, but we have not been able to catch up to our water crisis. That means pure drinking water is very rare these days. And in the future, when the climate is going to be coming on even harsher than it is right now, we can see up to 6% of our entire GDP of India to be channelized into solving this water crisis. That is a lot of money. And so just some food for thought on this. Again, our individual actions is to reduce consumption of our water. And that means going back to our older ways of just using one bucket to wash ourselves. And I remember, especially in winter time, well, I grew up in Vadodara, so it was a little bit chilly over there in the winters, probably not like Mumbai. But we used to heat our water, and we just used one bucket of water to bathe. And especially when you had to wash our hair, it was a nightmare, because you just had like 1.5 bucket of water to wash. So sometimes we need to practice. I know it sounds extreme, because now, you feel like once we have the luxury of running water, you feel like, oh, maybe it's kind of seems extreme to go back to that. But definitely we need to practice more of that wherever possible to reduce our water consumption. Second is disposing our garbage properly. So a lot of this untreated sewage also contains a lot of plastic bottles, clothing, other things that are not being disposed of properly. So again, goes back to our waste management system, where we need to have this robust waste management system so that contamination doesn't go into our rivers. Using natural products. So I emphasize this on a lot, because I see a lot of people using Lysol, like phenyl, like all of the other like harsh substances to wash our floors, or even like everything in the bathrooms. But so get this, when you dump that water, it goes somewhere, okay? So that water goes and it comes back to our rivers, and that's where our drinking water is taken in from. Now, when Lysol and like all of those harmful chemicals, Harpic or whatever, those chemicals are so harsh that they cannot be diluted or cleaned by our drinking water treatment centers. And definitely India doesn't have, I mean, even here in Canada, there's not a lot of sophisticated drinking water treatment plants. But that, because that is a huge investment in terms of public money to set up these drinking water treatment plants. So when this water gets dumped, it directly goes to the rivers, because we don't have the end-to-end plan. So in the end, we don't, this sewage water does not get treated and then thrown in the rivers. A lot of times it's directly thrown into the rivers. So try to use as natural products as possible, so that you are thinking of the future generations who are going to share the same water, and probably hopefully will not have any side effects of the chemicals that are being consumed. You know, there's a lot of reports on estrogen and fertility affected because of the chemicals associated in the drinking water. Over, like, there's a study done in Canada that shows that a lot of chemicals used in shampoos, so all the foaming materials and all of that, they don't get cleared out. The fourth is repurposing the water. So I'm sure a lot of people, you must be doing, when the cooking water gets wash the lentils, or we can wash our dal, and then collect that water and put it in the plants and other things in the garden. And collecting rainwater when possible. So anyone who has a physical house, then they can set up a tank to collect that water as much as you can. I know a lot of times it will overflow, but you can use that water to wash the clothes, or to water your plants and stuff later. In terms of government and industry action, now this one is a huge problem to tackle. So collaboration must happen between industry, NGOs, and the government. There should be more investment in domestic wastewater treatment. So before throwing it on rivers, if we filter that water, if we clean that water, then it will be better. So for the natural river system to clean it. Otherwise, it is directly going into the river, and then it pollutes the river, and then the river natural system cannot handle this complex chemicals mixture into the water. The third is banning open dumping sites, and then switching to the waste to energy infrastructure. That means you invest into infrastructure that is converting all this open dumping garbage into energy or power. So there's facilities available, and Korea has done specifically really good job on this. So I'm pretty sure, and there's a few in India as well. So this is definitely feasible, and that will eliminate a lot of our dumping sites. And then the fourth one is enforcement of strict laws for industries and farms, who is basically the small, medium industries that are, secretly dumping their water into the rivers, and then the farms as well. So the enforcement and the stricter law should happen over there. The third one is clothing waste. Clothing waste doesn't get looked at properly, specifically in India or in the Asian countries where themselves they are a huge textile industry exists. So what happens is clothing waste, increasingly we are using complex different materials to make our clothing. So a lot of times it's not 100% cotton, or if it is cotton, it is made from using lots of chemicals. So when it gets dumped, it doesn't disintegrate anymore. The thing is, we have been consuming, again, problem of consumption comes again. Now that we can afford, we are consuming a whole lot clothing products, especially from Zara, from Gap, all these fast fashion brands, where most of the times you feel like they are very fashionable clothes, we need to get them, and because we can afford them, we'll just buy them, and then they don't last as long as clothing should, and you can repair and stuff like that. So for on the left side, hopefully everyone can see, to produce a t-shirt, cotton t-shirt, and a cotton, where denim jeans is made from cotton, one pair of cotton t-shirt and jeans takes about 20,000 liters of fresh water. Imagine 20,000 liters of water is utilized to make just this one pair of clothing. And then we see that being discarded. We think that we'll donate it. But now we're seeing so much of secondhand clothing because everybody is buying so much. Everybody gets tired of the same old clothes. Then everybody thinks, I'll donate this clothes. So the secondhand industry is also very overwhelmed. But India has a rich, as I said, 4% of India's GDP is textile industry, which is amazing. And yesterday was a National Handloom Day. So we need to celebrate that culture, that slow way of creating clothes. And, our karigars need to be praised a lot for that. So, but clothing industry is also the second largest polluter after oil industry. How did that happen? Because we have been increasingly using, as I said, synthetic products made from oil and byproducts. Especially cotton is grown in countries where there's no history of growing cotton. So large amounts of water is being utilized. Say California is a desert, but there's a cotton industry over there. So imagine the amount of water that needs to be supplied to get that cotton. So all of this increases the pollution happening everywhere because as I said, like the large factories in China, Bangladesh, Indonesia, India, these large companies, Zara, Gap, they all come over, they produce cheap clothing because the labor is cheap in India, and then they pollute things because our laws are not strict enough. So the pollution happens very easily. Now 68% of population in India aged 20 to 30 shops every month for new clothes. So like every person is buying, and we have a lot of young people in our country. So a lot of those population shop for clothes every month. So you can imagine the amount of clothes that are piled up. And fast fashion makes it unfortunately affordable a lot of times too, and then forces that consumption increase because you want to stay up on the fashion point. So you want to buy the latest fashion and everything. So what individual actions can we take to reduce this clothing waste at our end? First of all, to reduce consumption. I will emphasize that point a lot. I know it's a very minimalist attitude, but I think when you reduce the consumption, you don't have to think about any other steps at all. So reducing buying clothes is key. Swap clothes with your friends and family. When you're going for a function or if you're going for a shadi, maybe borrow sari from your mom or from your aunt or someone. Like you can easily do that and just repurpose your clothing or your jeans Find your friends who wear the same kind of clothing as you. Then the third one is tailor make, switch to slow fashion. As I was saying, we need to celebrate the artisans and handlooms industry in India. So we need to go back to go to the tailor and ask him to make our kurta and suit and everything, and take at least 2-3 weeks for that to come. So you enjoy that part, and then you finally feel like, oh, finally we have something. Because the instant gratification of just going to a mall and buying things, you don't feel very attached to that. So I think that emotional connection is needed so that you kind of cherish your clothing and you keep them for long. Then repurposing into pillows and mats and rugs. And then plan to buy your outfits. Look at your closet. Like, what do you think is lacking? You want this jeans, or you want that skirt, you want that sari. So plan for it and save up for it, and it's a different joy to enjoy. And then probably will again invest into that clothing. For government industry is to blame for a lot of clothing waste. So definitely I have a whole different presentation on industry of what can they do. But definitely subsidizing upcycle clothing businesses. So there are lots coming up in India, and India, we repair like clothes a lot of the times, all the time actually. So there's a lot of upcycle clothing business who are seeing that there's a lot of clothing waste happening. Let's make a business out of it. So those kind of businesses need to be promoted a lot. Then stricter laws for all the industries that are trying to pollute, especially foreign industries like big brands, which get away with a lot of pollution and pollute our country. And then promoting Indian crafts and artisans so that people switch to, the age-old crafts and artists of India. So I think that will also help people appreciate more like Indian clothing and local clothing as well. The last but not the least is plastic waste. It's a huge issue all over the world. They say like only 60 major cities produce about 25,000 tons of plastic per day. Just 60 cities in India. That means, imagine if you think about all the cities in India and also the industry level, then it's crazy amount of plastic. The facts say that 8 million tons of plastic enter ocean yearly. And as I said, how does it enter the ocean? It's not that a lot of people go and dump into the ocean directly. But as I said, the waterways are connected. So if we dump it in some river or lake, it eventually lands into the ocean. And by 2050, they are saying there will be more plastic than fish. That means the weight of the fish will be lesser than the weight of the plastic, and plastic doesn't weigh so much. So by volume, it's going to be humongous. So what do we do to, what individual actions can we do? There's a ton of things that we can do as individuals to avoid plastic. When I used to do the zero waste meetups here in Calgary, a lot of people used to be shocked that we used rags, old gamchas and old t-shirts for wiping the cloth counter, or we used to buy from the kirana dukan where you actually go with your own dabba and buy things. People are shocked here that, oh wow, you live very eco-friendly. But then when I go back and have conversations and I see a lot of people are now buying everything in plastic because it's convenient, right? You can just grab and go. A lot of people have very busy lives. So these are the individual actions you can do as much as you can. So refuse plastic when possible. Carry your own cutlery or utensils. Like this is very, very simple. Just carry one spoon and one dabba from your home, empty ones. And every time you go out and eat not at a restaurant, but like at a thela or some stall, you can ask them if he's giving you a plastic thing, just ask them to put it in a dabba and use your own spoon. There's no shame. I don't think there should be any shame in eating from your own clean utensils rather than eating from the plates and just littering over there with the plastic. The third one is buying in bulk from small businesses. For me, I struggle with snacks, chips, whatever it is, like there's all plastic bags. So when I think about India, I feel like I miss a lot that you have this Gruho Udyogs, which have small, like little businesses that are run by ladies that can provide you different types of snacks on demand. And then all you have to do is ask them not to pack it in the plastic. You bring your own container, which you are going to empty when you go home anyway. So just bring your own container, ask them to put it in it, and that how you support small businesses, and you also avoid plastic. And then it's also fresher, it's made at home, so it's better than made in a factory and using lots of oil and other things. Carrying water bottle. I know a lot of, like, it's a very simple one, so I don't want to dwell in it. But if you carry a water bottle, hopefully you can find a restaurant, you can fill it in again if there's an issue with filtered water everywhere. So you can just ask someone to fill it in and then carry on. Buy stuff that comes in glass, metal, or paper. This is like, you can just ask, different brands will have glass packaging or paper packaging or metal. So just prefer the brands that are actually into glass, metal, or paper, because those things can be recycled or be reused in a better way than plastic. And then carry your own bag. My grandmom used to carry her jhola, and we used to tease her that why are you carrying this? This is not, you don't look cool enough. But now how the tables have turned, now everybody wants to carry your own bag, and tote bags are very cool. Everybody wants to be that person who carries their own bag. So definitely we can avoid a lot of plastic with that. Here I wanted to show you a video, hopefully that will work. And it's just about collaborating with NGO, and this is a Bhopal model. I don't know if we have time to go on. It's just one more slide after this. So, and it's a 2-minute video, so hopefully we can squeeze that in. And this is a lesson learned from Bhopal model, which I found very interesting, how they tapped into this UN funding that they could find, and now they have established a really good waste collection system. So let me try this again. Can everyone, can you see?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay.
पंद्रह साल से कचरा बिनना शुरुआत करा हूँ। 6 बजे से घर से निकलते हैं, पन्नी, कागज, प्लास्टिक, पुस्ते, कांच वगैरह ये सब पूरे टोटल सामान हम लोग उठाते हैं। पन्नी जो पड़ी रहती थी जो गंदी, वो उठा के हम लेते थे। व्यापारी लोग क्या बोलते थे, भाई गंदी पन्नी है, आधा वजन काटो, आधा वजन के पैसे हम लोगों को मिलेंगे। ठेले लोग क्या बोलते थे, अब लोग सामान मत उठाओ, कॉलोनी में से बाहर निकल जाओ। फिर हमारा तो नगर निगम से जब बना हमारा, तो हमको कोई लोग ने मना नहीं करा। लोग बाग बोलते आओ बिन के ले जाओ।
जो रेवेन्यू मॉडल इसमें तैयार किया गया है, उसमें रैक पिकर्स को इन्वॉल्व किया गया है। रैक पिकर्स को एनजीओज ने अलग अलग केंद्र स्थापित किए हैं और रैक पिकर्स का पंजीयन कराया गया है, और उनके माध्यम से रैक पिकर्स से ये पॉलिथीन, इस तरह की प्लास्टिक क्रय की जाती है अलग अलग दरों पे। रैक पिकर्स की जो डेली इनकम हो रही थी वो दुगनी हुई है उसमें।
नगर निगम में जाके हम पूरी पन्नी देते, हमारा कोई वजन काटती नहीं, हमारा कोई कुछ भी नहीं काटती।
ऐसे पॉलिथीन का प्रबंधन करने के लिए यूएनडीपी जैफ एसडीपी के माध्यम से हम लोगों ने ये परियोजना प्रारंभ की है। इस परियोजना का मुख्य उद्देश्य कचरा बीनने वालों को रोजगार के अवसर उपलब्ध कराना है, साथ ही ऐसा पॉलिथीन जो कि नॉन रिसाइकलेबल है, जिसको ना तो रिसाइकल किया जा सकता और ना ही स्टोर किया जा सकता, ऐसे प्लास्टिक को एकत्र करके सड़क निर्माण और सीमेंट इंडस्ट्रीज में एज ए अल्टरनेटिव फ्यूल यूज करने के लिए हम इस परियोजना का संचालन कर रहे हैं।
पेपर में मेरा बच्चा पढ़ा कि मम्मी तुम लोग ये पन्नी बीनते हैं ना, पिसाती मशीन में पिसा के ये रोड में ये पन्नी डलाती है।
Okay. So yeah, that was excellent example where the municipality found out about the small grants program and then focused on how to involve the rag pickers as well. So with that, and then I'll switch to the last slide. I know I'm going over a little. So lastly, I want to say that all of the individual action is not enough for us to solve this waste management issue. Definitely, we need to be more cognizant of what we are consuming and how it affects the environment and the people around us. And definitely, we need to do our own part for sure. That is very important because that's how we can influence other people. That if this is possible by us in our life, then other people can take inspiration from that. But what I want to emphasize is that our actions are only impactful up to a certain extent, because what happens is our existing systems are designed to take maximum benefit out of people and environment. That is simply because how we like to make most money out of everything. So this is definitely going to exist in every other system. So that's why we need to advocate for these actions from the industry and the government. And advocacy is definitely effective, and it's ultimately very important because we need to pressurize our municipal local organizations, look at different projects what are happening in our municipality, what are different grants available, what is the government doing for us to help. Even for industries, write letters to your favorite product company. Right now, Twitter and social media is so effective that if you tag the company, they will respond to you. The third part is we need to critique, influence, and change. So if we critique something, that means that we can find better ways to do the same stuff over the years. And that's how we can influence others, and that's how we can bring in the change. Fourth thing is join a cause that is close to your heart and connect with the like-minded people who believe in it. That means any of the waste management issues or any other issues, maybe you like animals, connect with people who love animals and join an NGO, or maybe look into an NGO, what they are doing. What this does, it helps you to create a community that believes in something that you do, and you find a hope to fight the climate crisis. And ultimately, we need to fight for the future, for our future generations, which will look up to us and ask us if we did enough when we were there watching this climate crisis. With that, I would like to end the session. Thank you. So if we have any questions, maybe we can answer. Hopefully we have time.
Yeah, Manashri, it was a very nice and informative and well-researched presentation. Any of the participants, if you all have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. This last thing which you gave a suggestion that we can, as an individual, though, even if we do a lot, it may not completely affect the environment, but we can also do our part and then also try to influence the government, the policymakers, and the industry. Now it is more easy to do because of the various social media channels which we have at our disposal so very easily. So that is a very good kind of a power that individual has nowadays to make his point on various social media medias. And also various social media influencers can uh, also be tagged, or they can also be asked to put forth these issues
Initiative.
in front of their own following, like how we can see in BTS followers also, they have been asked to contribute or they collect money for various good causes. So same thing can be done for environmental causes by various influencers. So if there are any queries, I'll just check. I think everybody is agreeing and they don't seem to have any question. They are introspecting that if there are so many things that an individual can do, how much of those things are we actually doing? So that is what they must be wondering now, everyone, including
And that's
me.
why I said, individual action, it only can go up to certain extent, because a lot of times it's very overwhelming that this is also we want to do, this also we want to do, and then everybody kind of gets tired of doing the same thing. So that's why we need, better systems in place so that it's easy for everyone to participate in this problem. Yeah.
It should become convenient to be eco-friendly.
Yeah.
It is the
Everyone
other way
has to
around
start
now.
their bit, you just cannot rely on other persons that they'll do and we'll do it later. It has to be initiated on an individual basis. So that
Definitely.
is very important from everybody's perspective. In fact, I know Rachna, myself, most all of the biotech team, generally when they travel and train, we are the warriors. When they throw something out of the trains, we just burst out on everybody who's there in the compartment, asking them to stop it, or we in fact even offer our bags. You put it here, we'll go and dump it in our own dustbin at home.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, there are a few comments. Namrata ma'am is saying, ma'am, session was really motivative. Thank you. It was very informative. Then Smita ma'am is saying, ma'am, even our college is contributing by collecting used plastic wrappers and sending it to recycle. Our students and staff too are contributing. Yeah, so we have this bank which is in which there are these multi-layered plastics are collected. And then, yeah, so our students are motivated to collect, even whenever they either see it, anybody dumping it or throwing it away or their own waste, they're supposed to collect and bring it. In our department, we have got these collection boxes wherein they can collect. We collect and then we send it to a bank which collects this multi-layered plastic.
That's amazing, because those are very difficult to recycle.
Yeah, correct. Even food waste we put in, in our department we have got a compost. So, so at
That's
our own level we are very much into this, but we need to spread this in the society. So,
absolutely.
so in that way, for that purpose, we need the social media influencers so that it becomes a mass movement. Until and unless anything becomes a mass movement, it will not actually make a real difference in the world. If it is at individual level, so out of say 10 there's so many people, only 100 people are doing it, it may not show up. But if majority does it, then only it will make a difference.
Yeah.
So
In our societies or even in our complex or like friends group and stuff, I remembered, because if they know that you follow this kind of lifestyle, they themselves will not approach with different ideas, and they probably will come to you that ma'am, how can we do this, we want to do better. And here people are now switching to Indian ways of living, and we see that it's people are going out of weight. It feels fashionable to do your own drying your laundry in the outside, and that's not a big thing in Canada, but people are doing and posting photos on social media because they're like, I'm saving so much energy by drying my clothes outside on the line, which is, so these little things also make a huge impact when you know a lot of people
Yeah,
do it.
correct. Yeah, because so much of electricity is wasted in making those clothes dry completely and use them directly without putting them on the line. Yeah, there's one question. I mean, there's one thing. Suggest some sustainable approaches which we can do with respect to electronic waste.
E-waste, yeah.
Okay, okay.
E-waste is waste. Yeah, e-waste is basically correct.
Yeah, and e-waste is a niche recycling problem, because it's not properly, you can't disintegrate and use it again. So definitely first use high quality products that definitely will cost you a little more but will last you a long time, so you don't have to throw things constantly. Other things
So
is
don't
probably,
buy from Chinese products.
or even if you like, if even if there is, then look at how the durability is and how much use you are going to use it, because sometimes you buy things for one use and then we, even if it's not so that's a issue. And repair those things, and then maybe hopefully a local electronic store, maybe ask them how they are disposing there, because every city and every town has a different way of segregating this e-waste. So, and it's also sometimes dangerous to throw it away just in the garbage because it can catch fire and stuff. So yeah, that is a little difficult one. So I have, for us, we go to IKEA. IKEA has an e-waste container where they accept these batteries and different electronic items that you can put store it in their like you can go to the store and just give it put there. So maybe there exists something like that in Mumbai as well. Not sure about that.
We do have IT and computer science department which collects these e-waste. Now
Okay.
that is at the college level, but I'm sure they also must be doing at an individual level. The NGOs to which they give might also
Right.
be doing it at an individual level. I
Mhm.
was very happy with respect to the food waste which you discussed, Manashri, because in our culture we make only as much as we are going to consume. In fact, we
Yeah.
don't even keep it for as basi.
Yeah.
And nowadays we know nobody prefers taking stale food. Not even the servants. They also, they are so conscious with respect to health and everything. So they
Mhm.
also refuse taking anything which is old, whether it's clothes, whether it's food, whatever. So
Yeah.
that was a very good thing that you said, that you prepare only as much as you need, rather than keeping it and then throwing it in the bins.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. That's why I keep on saying of going back to the old ways
Yeah,
of our grannies and
correct.
maybe her gran used to live. We need to adopt those concepts back into our lives again.
Yeah. And nowadays, some things have become so obsolete. We remember when we were kids, we used to have these mochis, the cobblers. We don't
Yeah.
see them anywhere now nowadays. In case if your shoes or your chappals are torn in the midway, you just have to throw them and buy a new one. You cannot
Yeah.
have a person who will at that moment get it repaired for you.
No,
So
no.
those cobblers, those chhata walas, you used to repair, umbrellas and all. Those people now they don't exist. Their businesses have now gone for a toss,
Yeah.
actually speaking.
Hopefully they'll come back if
I know,
they
I swear, yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be good. They also,
yeah.
it's like getting employment back, right?
Yeah.
The small businesses which have stopped because of some habits of ours.
Yeah. And it's a skilled labor, so it's
Yeah,
not that
yeah, yeah.
anyone can.
Truly, truly agree. Yeah. Any more
Yeah,
questions,
so
Rachna?
no, there are no. there are thank yous, and
Yeah, so we can.
so I request Tanya ma'am to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, sure. On behalf of Hindi Vidya Prachar Samitis, Ram Niranjan Junjunwala College and Department of Biotechnology, the organizing team for Gyan Vigyan series of lectures, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. My heart fills with lots of gratitude and respect to you, Madam Manashri, for not only sparing your valuable time for us, but also for enlightening us with this commendable talk on a very sensitive topic of sustainable development. Uh, Thank you so much for clearing our concepts on sustainable development and enhancing our understanding, especially pertaining to waste management. The special niche areas you spoke upon it is the need of the hour at the moment to understand, and all of this has been an eye opener to the audience, I'm sure. And the emphasis of old thoughts is golden thoughts, old is gold, has been reinvented now. We need to go back to our grannies, as you emphasized on. So thank you very much for introducing us to the new R's. And hopefully we will keep all this in mind and try to bring a revolution that will help our future generations to have a better life on earth. Thank you so much, Manashri ma'am, for joining in. And I would also like to thank all the listeners, students who are present here this morning, all the staff who have contributed in making this a success. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Manashri.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
So
you.
much.
Thank you so
Very
much.
privileged. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll end the meeting now.
Yes.